Hi, hello, good evening. Welcome to All Together Now. I'm your host, Bobbie Steinbach. We are so happy you've joined us. We love hearing from you. So please share your comments. Tonight, our show focuses on relationships. And we're going to start with Jocelyn Swigger playing Mazurka by Pauline Viardot. And Jocelyn will tell us about the relationship that inspired that piece. Maurice Emmanuel Parent is joining us as well. He is the executive director of Boston's Front Porch Arts Collective, and he's here to talk about their work and the philosophy behind it. Also from Front Porch Arts Collective, Brandon G. Green will share a monologue from their production of Black Odyssey Boston, and lovely Hoffman will sing a song from their production of Ain't Misbehavin'. First of all, I just want to remind you that you hear Jocelyn Swigger's music every show, as she created our opening and closing music. And tonight, as part of our focus on relationships, we're restreaming her performance of Pauline Viardot's Mazourke. And I'll let Jocelyn explain why.
Thank you so much, Bobbie. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm just delighted that you came to join us, Jocelyn. Where are you joining us from?
I'm here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, just a couple of blocks from my office at the Sunderman Conservatory at Gettysburg College.
And tell us about what you're going to perform for us. Tell us a little about the piece. It's an interesting story.
Yeah, so I'm going to play the Mazurka by Pauline Viardot. And when we think about a mazurka, especially for piano, we often think about Frédéric Chopin. And I know for sure that when Pauline Viardot thought about a mazurka, she thought about Frédéric Chopin because she actually took several of his mazurkas and put words to them and made them into her songs. And when she performed them, do you know who her accompanist was?
Who?
Her accompanist was Chopin.
Oh my goodness.
Wonderful singer, wonderful composer, and she was also a wonderful pianist. She used to play four-hand music with Chopin at his house where he lived with his son. And she was friends with both of them, and so much that when they broke up, she tried to get them back together. And she wrote this piece, wrote this mazurka in 1868, which was actually almost 20 years after Chopin died in 1849. And I think really hear in this piece memories of a dear friend with some pain about the loss, of course, but also some joy in the memories that this wonderful friend meant for her. So this is the Mazurka of Pauline Viardot.
Oh, why didn't I keep up with my piano lessons? Thank you, Jocelyn, for that beautiful piece and for the really interesting story. Our next guest is the actor, singer, dancer, teacher, and my friend and colleague, Maurice Emmanuel Parent. Maurice is both an Ernie winner and an Elliot Norton winner, and that is the New England Tonys and the Boston Tonys. And he's also the executive director of the Front Porch Arts Collective, a Black theater company committed to advancing racial equity in Boston. Maurice, welcome to All Together Now.
Hi, Bobbie. Glad to be here.
Such a pleasure to have you. So you and Dawn Meredith Simmons founded the Front Porch Arts Collective. Tell us why.
Thanks. Well, as such, is the way in the theater. Sometimes great decisions come to you at the bar. So it was the opening night of the play Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, which is a play by Katori Hall, which features an all-Black and mostly female cast that Don had directed at the Lyric Stage Company of Boston, one of the local theaters that we all know and love. And at the opening night bar, with Manhattans in hand, I looked at Don and I said, wouldn't it be great if there was a theater company that did shows like this all year long? And a mutual friend of ours that was within earshot, it's like, that might be an idea for a theater company. Then from that idea, after 3 years of working, we are here today. So we soon were welcomed by Central Square Theater in Cambridge, Mass. They took us in and they incubated us and they gave us space to brainstorm, and they became our fiscal sponsors so we can get donations through them. And we were able to hone in on the purpose of the company, the purpose behind that inspiration that was, fueled by the Manhattan is to,
There have been many, many, many wonderful things fueled by the Manhattan.
You know what? This is a little product placement right now, but the idea is, yeah.
Maurice, you've established yourself so very quickly with such wonderful work, including 2 Elliot Norton Awards just last night for Outstanding Actor in a Mid-Sized Theater to Kadaj Bennett, and Outstanding Ensemble in a Mid-Sized Theater to the company Black Odyssey, Boston.
Yeah.
And part of how you're doing that is in relationship with, as you have already mentioned, other theater companies, not only Central Square. Can you talk a little bit about the brilliant production of Choir Boy you directed, and the way that you changed the audience and the relationship with the audience for that show?
Thanks, and we were super honored last night to receive those awards. So our mission, create advancing racial equity in Boston through theater, is we have a twofold approach to accomplishing that mission. Number one, create a theatrical home that explores the full gamut of the Black experience in America and in the world. So usually when PWIs, predominantly white institutions, do Black plays, they usually focus on one area, one particular narrative. It's usually an African-American urban narrative. That's cool. I've worked in many of those plays before as an actor, and please keep producing those. But I think the benefit of having a theater company specifically mission-driven, focused on Black narratives, you can realize like Blackness is an umbrella term. And there's so many narratives underneath that umbrella: African-American, African, Caribbean, Afro-Latino. So exploring that. So that's part number one. And also have the leadership of the company reflect the culture that's on stage. So having Black leadership is also unique. Every major theater city has a Black theater company. The other is to develop programs that increase diversity of all racial diversity amongst the whole ecosystem of Boston. So we do programs that increase not only Black representation, but representation of other ethnic minorities, and do that in conversation. So one way this did, so getting to Choir Boy, I was directing that for Speakeasy, and then the Front Porch came in, and we looked at the dynamic of the audience that comes to consume theater in Boston. In most areas, they are overwhelmingly white. So how can we intentionally flip that dynamic? So we were inspired by a slave play on Broadway that did a blackout, where the writer Jerry Mel Harris realized that the show touched on such immediate cultural concerns and conversations that will be best consumed with an all-Black audience. So he filled the theater with 900 Black folks through various means. So that's what we did with Choir Boy. We knew that some of the cultural aspects that were touched on in the show will be consumed very specifically by an all-Black audience. So we created that. And again, it's not exclusionary. We took a show that was not on sale to the public already. It was an extra show. So, just creating a specific experience, intentionally flipping the dynamic of Black folks being the minority in the theatrical space, which I think is so important when we're doing, especially when we're looking at shows that deal with Black culture.
And I know that was widely covered, including in the New York Times. Maurice, you wear many hats. As I introduced you at the top of the show, you act, you sing, you dance, you teach, and you run a theater company. How do you find time to be an artist?
Coffee. No, I'm kidding. It's still true though. Coffee in Manhattans. No, well, I do it all. As of now, the Front Porch is still fiscally sponsored, so we are still technically volunteers. We're not paying ourselves salaries yet, so we are making the work of the theater happen whilst maintaining full-time jobs that, thank God, all relate to theater and all feed our company. So hopefully in the next year we'll be at a point where we can actually pay ourselves. But, that's how all theater companies grow. We know that. So it's coming in due time. But
yes, and I know you are doing a show. Hopefully it will happen. You are doing Anna DeVere's Fires in the Mirror.
Yeah, Fires in the Mirror. Yeah, and at the lyric stage where the idea for the Front Porch first started. So I'll be doing that in January. So I'm an actor as well, and that's my first love. That's how I see myself. But I found an equal passion in education, an equal passion in being in a position to create platforms where my friends and colleagues can shine and me step back and just be a fan of them from afar. So that's really why, even though we're not getting paid yet, I love and will work every day towards building the Front Porch, because folks like we're about to meet, my wonderful friend Brandon G. Green has just been awarded Ellie Norton as part of a cast for Black Odyssey Boston, which is our flagship show. It takes the Odyssey and sees it through a decidedly African American Afrocentric lens and sets it in Boston. So it was written by Marcus Gardley, and he came and workshopped the play with us here in Boston and rewrote it and set it to understand the kind of Black legacy, African diasporic legacy of Boston. So it just fills my heart with joy knowing that I can create a theater company that creates opportunities for my friends and colleagues to share their amazing talents.
Well, that's a great segue, because we'd like to welcome Brandon G. Green. And hey, Brandon, how you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself? I'm
doing great. And it's wonderful to have you on the show. I have always admired your work, and I will see anything with Brandon G. Green in it. Anyway, I know you're going to do a monologue from Black Odyssey Boston for us. And why don't you tell us a little bit about, give us some background here.
Okay, like Maurice said, it is the story of the Odyssey, but set through the African-American lens and set in Boston. And this piece was our Act 2 opener. So we're like halfway through the story and like just really getting into Ulysses' journey through his story.
Look, great. The stage, Brandon, is yours.
Okay. It's been 3 long days since Ulysses floated away from the flood. Seeing a parent pulled from their child stirred up something familiar in his blood, something like familial love. And no longer could the soldier afford to be stuck, hoodwinked, bamboozled, nor run amok. He sails on with benevolence. Say, do you know what it's like to lose your kin? to be ripped from your mother's arms, snatched from your father's hands, to be taken from your motherland, slaved 401 years, only to be free to share crop for cheap, be cheated, treated like a piece of meat in fear of the noose, the Klan, and Jim Crow. You migrate north, east, and west with nothing but the heart in your chest, hoping to get your hands on a piece of the American dream. But is there any left? Well, you break what's left of your back in factories of industry. You study in school with your blood, sweat, and tears. You snatch your patch of 40 acres and a mule until your industry job is shipped overseas, taken like a thief in the night. Your patch of land, your street, your hood becomes riddled with blight. And to add fuel to your rage, they ship in guns and drugs, jail time and gangs. They convict you of black on black crime as if white collars are free from all blame. It's a wonder you haven't become entirely insane. Tell me, why go home? They're still killing us because they fear our skin. Why not Rome? Ulysses joined the service to serve a country that pays only lip service to him, a country that sings freedom with its mouth while it imprisons 2 million black men with its hands. 401 years we've been on this land, helping it to grow bigger, faster, but we still got to remind folks that our Black lives matter. The American dream was never Martin Luther King's dream. The American dream was a nightmare programmed to keep me asleep and broke, but brother, I got news. I'm woke, and I'll be here till freedom rings. You, yes, you, sitting there, all of you, please be Ulysses. You protect the Black king and queen. Walk a mile in their shoes, I beg you. What do we have to lose? But everything.
Thank you, Brandon. That was so powerful and so necessary. So necessary. I thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing that with us and being so present. And I'm a little moved and tongue-tied. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know you'll be doing a lot more work here in this area. I hope we don't lose you to LA. I know you said that before. You and your beautiful, wonderfully talented wife, Elle Green, and I hope that you're going to stay here with us. I'm going to have to tie you up.
Okay.
That's just all there is to it.
All right.
So thank you, Brendan.
Thank you very much for having me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
And Maurice, I know you also have given us a video postcard from the amazing, lovely Hoffman, who will be doing a performance from your production of Ain't Misbehavin', which was supposed to open this month at Central Square Theater. So perhaps you'd like to introduce her.
Sure. You know, Black folks, it's a call and response culture, and all I want to do was yes, right, all during Brandon's monologue. So I had to keep my, we're in a film situation, so I had to keep myself from doing that. But thank you, brother. And the same goes for Lovely. I'm a huge fan of Lovely. I've had the pleasure of performing as actors with both these people, and now the added pleasure of producing and directing shows, and then sitting in the back and from the audience and wave my hand. So Lovely is a phenomenal singer, and actress. She was actually featured on CNN a couple years ago for a song she wrote. My Black is Beautiful was she was interviewed on CNN for it. It was went across the nation. So she's going to sing the song "Cash for Your Trash" from Ain't Misbehavin', which will be a co-production of the Front Porch Arts Collective and the Nora at Central Square.
Wonderful. Roll that video, please.
Save up all your iron and tin, but when you go turn it in, don't get little some cash for your trash. Real bonds. Get some cash for your trash. Step on it. Save up all your pots and pans. Save up every little thing you can. Don't give it away now. Get some cash for your trash. Save up all your old newspapers. Save up like a high skyscraper. Don't give it away now. Get some cash for your trash. In between we'll do some loving. Wild handsome turtle doving. Will you listen to me, honey? Get plenty of folded money. Save up all your iron tin. But when you go turn it in, don't give it away now. Get some cash for your trash. Oh well now. Get some cash for your trash. Oh, get some cash for your trash. Get some cash. Get some cash. Get some cash for your trash. Yeah.
Oh, that, more please. Lovely Hoffman. More. Lovely was singing Cash for Your Trash from Front Porch Arts Collective's production of Ain't Misbehavin'. Maurice, my dear friend, thanks to you and to Brandon and Lovely for sharing the Front Porch Arts Collective work with us tonight. What a wonderful company, and I look forward so much to your work in the future. So you take care.
Thank you. You too.
Be well.
Thanks for having us.
That was amazing. Thanks to Jocelyn and to Maurice and Brandon and Lovely for sharing their collaborations with us this evening. As always, we have links in the comments so you can learn more about and support their work. I especially encourage you to check out the Front Porch Arts Collective. And if you'd like to see more from All Together Now, follow, like, and subscribe to us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And please come back on Thursday. Our guests will be the remarkable musician and inventor Guy Mendelow and my friend Lauren Molina. The Chicago Sun-Times says Lauren is a petite firecracker with comic brilliance and a soaring voice. And I can attest to that. I can't wait for you to meet her. Until then, keep a song in your heart and hold a good thought. Good night.